Hi there guys, hope everyone's well. I'm sorry for the I always seem to be apologising for the lack of updates on the channel, and you know, I wish I could do more. Just very busy with my grown-up job. I was just doing something earlier on this week which was which is quite interesting. I just thought a good lesson for youngsters, young boxers coming through. And that was I was actually waiting at the hospital for an appointment for someone, and I actually got a chance to watch one of my old fights back, and I've never really watched it properly because I didn't really like the fight. I got beaten it, and I just hated watching it because it was just it was one of those fights where not a lot of nothing particularly great happened in it. There was no good exchanges or anything, and I just got out hustled. It was against a guy, really a good fighter actually, called Baz Carey, who was a good sort of journeyman on the circuit, and he was, I think, one of the very few British fighters to take Amir Khan the distance, and he was also, you know, I think he was an ex-para and all that. He's a proper tough guy and that, and I really underestimated him when I fought him. I can't remember. I think my record was something like 7-2-1 at the time, and I was in the top 10 in Great Britain, and I had just had a really good performance. In fact, it might have been 7-4-1 or something, 8-4-1, something like that. It was an alright record, and I was in a fairly decent place, and I was actually just about to fight Amir Khan myself. They'd matched me up, and it was proper good money. Like, it was a lot more money now back then than it is now. I think they were offering me about $8,000 to box him on ITV, which would have been awesome, obviously, but to be honest, he'd have fucking levered me, so probably done me a favour. But anyway, so I went back and I watched the fight, and I'd not watched it before, my fight with Baz Carey, and in my head I remember when I was a youngster, around the time of the fight, I remember putting the loss down to a poor attitude in the gym, and because at the time I was always a very moody sort of performer when I was a kid. So like I was very dependent on my trainer, and to sort of do all the I was a bit of a baby, really. That's probably the best way to describe it. And I remember it was when Brian Rose first turned professional, and obviously Brian was, you know, a real star amateur, and when he turned pro, he actually turned pro with my coach at the time, and he took a lot of attention away from me, and it was nothing personal, because I loved Brian, and, you know, he's done so well for the town. He's a real inspiration for all the boxers around here, but personally I was really aggrieved at the lack of attention I was getting, and I remember training, I mean, to be fair, my own attitude towards training was poor, let alone the content of what I was actually doing at the time, which sort of consisted of hundreds of rounds of bar bag, and it just was mind-numbing. And that's not disrespecting my old trainer. That was just how we used to do it back in the day. It was a different sort of approach to what I sort of do now. Anyway, I digress. So yeah, so I just remember putting it down to a bad attitude, and actually when I watch the fight back, I can still see a lot of the quality of when I was a good fighter and when I was performing at a very good level, and there was a big flaw in my game in that I couldn't control the clinch, and that was something that I got miles better at as I got older, but actually, looking back, I wish I'd have fucking watched it at the time now, because actually there was a hole in my game there, and I could have easily fixed that with a bit of conscientious learning, and rather than that, I sort of just put it all down to having a bad attitude, and I didn't learn the lessons that I should have learned in that fight, which and that's sort of the message I wanted to pass on in this video. Basically, what I'm saying is that don't always blame your attitude. Don't always be quick to write off what the problem is, because sometimes, you know, there's better lessons that can be learned from just having a poor attitude. The poor attitude was part of the loss, but actually there was a technical flaw there which I wasn't able to fix because I put it down to a poor attitude. I put the loss down to a poor attitude, thinking that if I had a good attitude, then I would have won the fight. And when I actually look back at it, it was reasonably close. It was a shit fight, but actually, if I'd have boxed him again without fixing that problem, then he probably would have beat me again, because I hadn't fixed the problem, and it was a problem with something very, very easy to fix, actually, with a bit of conscientious learning. But that learning would never have taken place because I was almost, you know, believing my own hype, saying that it was just down to poor attitude rather than my talent, or rather than my game as a fighter. And that's what I'm trying to get at. So what I'd say is, the message I wanted to sort of pass on to you guys was, don't be so quick to discount why you lose, because sometimes you lose because of your attitude, but actually more often it's because of technical deficiencies in your game. You know, if I'd have had a bad attitude but actually I could fix that problem technically, then I would have won the fight, maybe, because I was probably a touch more, you know, I could box really well when I had space and time, and I would have been able to give myself space and time if I'd have controlled that distance better, but I didn't. And, you know, Baz was really clever in that he just basically threw himself at me and used really good tactics to easily sort of, I mean, he could have beaten me easier than he did, to be fair. So that's my lesson. So the lesson is, don't fucking blame attitude when the problem is a technical problem, because you can fix those and you can get your technique better all the time.
God bless.